In the previous video, we mentioned that rules are declarative. This means it's not necessary to write them in the order in which we need them to be executed. Because the triggering order is logical, it is determined by GeneXus based on their dependencies. So, for example, even if we rearrange these rules and place them in a different position, they would be triggered at exactly the same time as if we left them in this order. When is each rule triggered? At the first moment when the required information is available. For example, the default rule needs to know that the mode is insert in order to be triggered. As soon as it has that information, it is triggered, and that's why we see at runtime that it does it as soon as we leave the identifier field after entering a non-existent ID. The error rule that queries the value of the customer name attribute before being triggered requires the user to have already moved through the customer name field to ensure it has been processed. That is why it's triggered as soon as the field is exited. Precisely because of this, the error rule for customer name will always be triggered before the error rule for customer last name, which comes later on the screen. And both will always be triggered before the MSG for customer phone, regardless of the order in which they were written in the source. And what about these three that depend on customer added date? In what order will they be triggered? Two of them depend on the insert mode. The error one does not. It will be evaluated in any mode. The default and no accept rules correspond to the same moment. They only need to know that the mode is insert. If two rules refer to the exact same moment, then they will be triggered in the order in which they were written. So, in our case, the default will be triggered first, then no accept, and finally the error rule, since it checks the value of customer added date. If a customer is being updated, the rule will only be triggered once the user leaves the customer added date field.